Andrea Dovizioso, he stood in this very place on the front row of the grid 12 months ago. Little did he know at that time he was about to engage in one of the most thrilling fights, personal duels in Marc Marquez of the Spaniard's career. And rather unusually, and all credit to Andrea Dovizioso, it's not very often you see Marc Marquez get roughed up and lose a last lap showdown, but that is exactly what happened. And on this very place here 1 year ago, Marc Marquez sat in pole position, and little did he know at that time he was going to be in for one of the toughest fights of his Grand Prix career.
2017 world champion, 2016 world champion. He's looking for another win to add to that impeccable record this year. Only mistakes in Argentina and Mugello to his name.
Well, Andrea Dovizioso and Marc Marquez over the last calendar year have been the two shining lights in this MotoGP World Championship. Massive support as well here for Marc Marquez. The two shining lights in this World Championship, nothing between the two of them, and that was emphasised again in qualifying yesterday. 0.02 of a second covering Marquez and Dovizioso, the closest gap between first and second in a qualifying session for 15 years. Max Biaggi, who's here this weekend in his role as Aprilia's global ambassador, and Jeremy McWilliams, they were split by 0.02 of a second at the Saxon Ring back in 2003. We can go down to Simon Cray from the grid for the first time.
Hi guys, I'm in the centre of the second row with Cal Crutchlow. Cal, you're right behind the factory Ducatis, and in the last race, you were like close to the last, you know, right to the last of the race. You were close to the front three. It looks like it's going to be the same front three today. You're going to be there too?
Obviously, we hope so. The team have done a great job all weekend. Honda have done a good job, and we've been the closest guy lately to the front. I think we're going to have a big battle on our hands, and I look forward to it, and I hope everyone at home does as well.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah, there's definitely signs this year, encouraging signs for Honda. They're closer to Ducati than what they've ever been here at the Red Bull Ring. The steps and improvements that HRC took with that RC213V engine to improve the top speed, and certainly the low gear acceleration, which is exactly what you need for this Red Bull Ring circuit. Honda have clearly made progress in that direction. They're still not quite on the level of the Ducati for top speed, but Marc Marquez thinks he's got the tools to fight here today, more capable than what he's ever had at the Red Bull Ring.
In terms of the championship, of course, Dovizioso and Lorenzo a long way back. Andrea Dovizioso 68 points down. Lorenzo is 76 points back. Tito Rabat here starts from 7th. It's so unlucky and unfortunate back in Brno. He was looking like a solid top 10 finish for him until the exhaust problem came back to bite him on the backside. But a really good job. His best qualifying here since Argentina. Simon.
I'm now on the 4th row with Alvaro Bautista. Alvaro, you've really been on form lately. Top 5 already this year, 5th position in one MotoGP. What do you think is possible today?
Well, today I have a good feeling during all the weekend. But today my target is just to try to do with the start and try to stay with the front group like I did in Saturday from the beginning. No? So then we will see how is the tire consumption. But yeah, I'm so confident in my reading, so our target is to stay like in Saturday with the front group and then try to do our best and try to end the race the higher possible.
Best of luck, Alvaro.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alvaro. 3rd time in the last 4 races he's found himself in Q2. A lot of talk that he's heading over to World Superbikes, possibly in the factory Ducati team. Still options over here in Moto 2, with Fausto Gresini talking to Alvaro Bautista. In the last 3 races, he's finished within 8 seconds of the victory, so in one of the best runs of his MotoGP career is the Spaniard.
Just saw there Danny Pedrosa, number 26, the 32-year-old retiring at the end of the season. He's qualified in 9th position. Of course, he was on the podium here last year. Danny Pedrosa would have to go some to repeat that feat. Simon.
Guys, I couldn't miss this opportunity. I'm standing with Jeffrey Hurlings, who's undisputed, the best motocross rider in the world. And what do you think of this sport? Who are you cheering for today, if you didn't have to mention KTM riders?
First of all, I gotta admit, I have to cheer for the KTM guys. But after that, I'm a big fan of Marc Marquez. I've been riding with him in the winter, and he's an awesome athlete, an awesome rider, and the skills he's having on the bike is awesome. So definitely first going to cheer for the KTM guys, and then for Marc Marquez.
Would you like a go at this one day?
Oh, it's an amazing sport, right? So yeah, we'll be amazing, yeah.
Well, a member of the rock band The Strokes here. It's all about the 4 strokes in MotoGP coming up very, very shortly. There is Alvaro Bautista.
Matt cannot help but provide a pun at some point during the day. Carmelo Espeleta, of course, Dorna CEO, sporting the lederhosen as he did, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, always great to see Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta embracing the local culture. Johan Zarco did it after he won the Moto2 race.
Here is Alex Rins. He'll start from 10th, the factory Suzuki rider. Finished in 10th place last time out, of course, or just missing out on the top 10 last time out.
There's a man who knows what it takes to build a competitive World Championship winning car on 4 wheels, keeping a very close eye on what's happening on 2 wheels here this weekend. F1 technical supremo Ross Brawn, of course, glory in the past with Honda and with Ferrari. He may well have been coming up hoping to see Valentino Rossi putting up a fight for the victory. That seems highly unlikely. Valentino Rossi, when was the last time he had to go that far down the grid? Well, Phillip Island 2016, to see Valentino Rossi on row 5. Although he was 15th on the grid in Australia 2 years ago, and he came all the way through to 2nd place. I think it's fair to say, though, that Valentino Rossi and the Yamaha have a slightly closer love affair with Phillip Island than what they do with the Red Bull Ring.
Just a little. Yeah, just a little. This is not a favourite circuit for them at all. Here is Maverick Vinales then. Trouble times on circuit and off at the moment for Maverick Vinales. It's been a lot of unrest. He's asked for no more questions regarding the split between him and his crew chief, Ramon Focada. And he too growing more and more frustrated with the lack of answers more than anything else from Yamaha. The Austrian national anthem there, and the fans enjoying that one, paying their respects. A great Grand Prix this since it's came back onto the calendar in 2016, and they're hoping to witness something special here today as well.
Yeah, a rousing rendition of the Austrian national anthem. We saw a man riding for the Austrian factory in this Grand Prix there a little while ago, Bradley Smith on the KTM. His best qualifying since he was 9th in Phillip Island last October. And keep an eye on Bradley Smith. He thinks he's got pace for the top 10. Brilliant job as well this morning in the warm-up. 6th place for the British rider.
Jack Miller there has been chasing his tail a little bit with different setups here around the Red Bull Ring, not quite working for him here this weekend or in general. And these are the spectacular views that you become used to when you're traveling this part of the world. Just unbelievable. You take it for granted having been here for a week, Matt, but I mean, it's just unbelievable views around this place.
That thud was my jaw hitting the floor. That is just absolutely glorious, gorgeous setting. We're nestled in the heart of the Styria Mountains here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Here's Hafiz Shireen starting from the middle of row 6 in 17th place. Only 2 points now ahead of Franco Morbidelli in that crucial battle, that pivotal battle for the honour of the top rookie of the year. Just behind Hafiz Shireen actually is Xavier Simeon. Shout out to him, his best qualifying since Argentina. Here's Scott Redding, still no confirmation about Scott Redding's 2019 plans. He's got options in British Superbikes, possible Aprilia test rise, maybe going back to Moto2, still waiting for confirmation on what Scott's plans are for 2019. Simon?
I'm standing next to Jorge Lorenzo with Paolo Ciabatti. Paolo, watching the practice and qualifying so far, you know, your machines seem like the bike to be on, you know, with these slow turns coming onto long straights. But Mark seems so determined to deny you of a win. How worried are you about that?
Well, as you know, we have experience from last year. It was tough until the last corner, and I don't think it's going to be any different this year. I think both Andrea and Jorge can be competitive until the end, but definitely Mark will be between them, and it's going to be, I think, a fight between those three riders.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Well, we certainly hope so, Paolo. We don't mind if a couple of other names stick their nose in that battle, but the prospect of Marquez, Dovizioso and Lorenzo slugging it out for the win for the second week in succession, it's making my palms get a bit sweaty already.
Yeah, it's an exciting one, this. The build-up is here. We hope that it's the show that everyone expects it to be. Three big names of the sport standing toe-to-toe, trying to hit each other. It's not literally, hopefully, but we'll see how it all pans out. Here's Franco Morbidelli further back. We are inching closer and closer to a 28-lap race here in Austria for MotoGP. 10 rounds gone so far in 2018, and it brings us here to Austria Round 11.
It's all about the horsepower shootout now.
Dovizioso wins the opening race. Out of the slipstream comes Cal Crutchlow, and he leads again. Cal Crutchlow wins! It's a hat-trick for Marc Marquez. Takes his third victory. Jorge Lorenzo is back. It's double delight for Jorge Lorenzo.
It's super, super tight.
Oh, a massive moment there. Oh, how has he not gone down? What a race. Side by side. Oh, Marc Marquez wins an absolute stunner here in Austria. Saxon Ring begins here.
He's up the inside, Marquez leads, and he's done it again.
Number 9 for Marc Marquez here at the Saxon Ring. Who will be the champion of Czech Republic? Oh, it's close, it's close. Masterful from Lorenzo. 2-in-1 from turn 11. I think he's gone wide, he has. Dovizioso comes through.
Demolition from Dovi.
Oh, wow. Dovizioso has taken the victory here in Brno.
Who will deliver the knockout blow at the Red Bull Ring today? Andrea Dovizioso, the race winner here last year, from the middle of that front row, exactly where he started his battle with Marc Marquez last year.
Jorge Lorenzo, soft. Now that's a talking point. He'll start third then. These are the men that we need to look out for. Dovizioso looking for back-to-back wins in as many weeks, and twice, of course, he'd be looking to try and win in Austria. Marc Marquez, though, will start from pole here for the Grand Prix of Austria.
28 laps of the Red Bull Ring coming your way in the MotoGP World Championship. A dream front row. Marc Marquez, Andrea Dovizioso and Jorge Lorenzo all going for different rear tyre selections. Row 2, Danilo Petrucci, Cal Crutchlow and Johan Zarco. Row 3 headed by Tito Rabat, only the fourth time we've seen him qualify inside the top 10 in MotoGP. Andrea Iannone and Danny Pedrosa join him on that third row. Alex Rins, Maverick Vinales and Alvaro Bautista on row 4. Row 5, Bradley Smith, and yes, your eyes don't deceive you, Valentino Rossi in 14th place, his worst dry qualifying in 7 years. He's ahead of Aleix Espargaro on row 5, Jack Miller, Hafi Cyrene and Xavier Simeon round out row 6. Franco Morbidelli, Scott Redding and Taka Nakagami on row 7. And row 8, Tom Luthi, confirming this morning he's heading back to Moto2 with Dynamo intact next year, and Carol Abraham.
Here is Marc Marquez then, getting himself prepared. He wants to give Ducati a bloody nose here in Austria.
Already fascinating to understand the tyre choices of that top 3. They've all gone for a different rear tyre choice. Marquez, yellow banded hard rear tyre, which he used to such devastating effect in this morning's 20-minute warm-up. A crowd of almost 93,000 fans crammed into the Red Bull ring. Will it be the number 93 that can break Ducati's domination of this Red Bull ring? Dovizioso on the medium rear tyre, Lorenzo on the soft, adding just another dynamic to what we believe is going to be a fascinating fight between Marquez, Dovizioso and Lorenzo. The fact, Steve, they've all gone for 3 different rear tyres just adds to the mix.
It certainly does, and it just goes to show you how complicated it has been for these riders, given the lack of dry track time here. Track temperature is up, it's pretty high. Here's Bradley Smith, he's the solo Red Bull KTM rider here today. Can he deliver a solid top 10? Can he deliver KTM's best ever result in the Premier class?
Well, he fancies chances of that top 10. 6th place in the warm-up session this morning. KTM were hoping to see Mika Kallio and Pol Espargaro also out in action on the RC16s of this Austrian Grand Prix, but both of them sidelined through injury. Bradley Smith, though, doing an outstanding job as the lone warrior for the Austrian brand.
Here is Danilo Petrucci. Could he somehow spring a surprise? Could he make his way up there? There's the championship standings. Marquez 49 ahead.
The fact that Marquez, Dovizioso and Lorenzo, Steve, have all gone for those 3 different rear tyre choices, for me now, it makes it even harder to judge and predict who's going to come out on top.
Predicted race pace 24.7, pole position 23.2. Marquez was going quicker than that this morning.
Well, the first 3 quarters of the race in Brno last weekend were just a game of chess, a high-speed game of chess at that. How is the start of this Red Bull ring encounter going to unfold? Marc Marquez, he is out to avenge that defeat, that last corner defeat to Andrea Dovizioso last year.
Austria awaits. Here we go. The lights are on. And away from the line we go. All 3 men from the front row got away very well indeed as we charge uphill. But it is Andrea Dovizioso that looks like he might get the whole shot. Lorenzo not got off to a great start. He'll go into turn 1 in 4th. He runs wide though, does Dovizioso. Marquez 2nd.
Yeah, Lorenzo lost 3rd place to Cal Crutchlow. He's got it back though on the run down to turn number 3. Dovizioso then takes the lead. The race winner here 1 year ago from Marquez, Lorenzo. Cal Crutchlow's there as well. Valentino Rossi's made no big inroads at the start of this race. Alex Rins had a great start. Rins has come from way down the grid.
Oh, Marquez there almost got hit into the back off by Dovizioso. He stood it up and somehow Lorenzo's come out ahead because they were all so slow on the exit, and Alex Rins is up there as well.
Rins has come from 10th to fight for the podium. Dovizioso fights straight back up the inside of Alex Rins and Cal Crutchlow. It's getting a bit untidy, a bit messy early doors here in Austria.
Alex Rins really has come out fighting. There he is. Dovizioso having to go up the inside of him into turn number 5. Lorenzo leads from Marquez and Dovi.
Dovizioso would not have anticipated fighting and engaging with Alex Rins at turns 6 and 7 on the first lap. Alex Rins has had a lightning start from that 4th row, already into 4th place from 10th.
These guys know further behind that they want to set a slow pace at the front, and they're really getting in the mix. Oh, it's close there from Rins again. Crutchlow's there. Danilo Petrucci as well. Marc Marquez trying to find a way round Jorge Lorenzo.
Crutchlow's got Rins at turn 10. Beautiful move by Crutchlow up the inside, trail braking deep into that downhill right-hander. He picked Alex Rins up. Crutchlow then back into 4th place. Lorenzo leads on that soft front, soft rear tyre combination from Marc Marquez. Alex Rins tried to find a way back through on Crutchlow. No way through at the first corner. Tito Rabat had a good first lap as well. Started 7th, he's in 7th place, and there's Valentino Rossi just at the top of your picture. He's picked up 3 place on lap 1, 14th to 11th.
Here comes Marquez. It's going to be a block pass again, tight through turn number 3. They're both going to...
Contact further down the field. Zarco picked up Andrea Iannone. That was a big shunt there between Zarco and Iannone. Super aggressive as always from Johan Zarco. Andrea Iannone will not thank him for that one. That was a big clattering.
Dovizioso thought about a move up the inside of Lorenzo, so Marquez now leads. The classic block pass into turn number 3. It worked out well. Crutchlow 4th, Rins in 5th. They're all there. They're all together in the early stages as we suspected.
So the 2 factory Yamahas, there's Valentino Rossi right on the rear tyre of Andrea Iannone. That's because Iannone got a big bump from Zarco in the braking zone at turn 3. It's been an awful start again from Maverick Vinales. He's down in 15th place at the moment.
Tito Rabat doing well, he's in 7th place, but it's Marquez still with this advantage. There's Rabat ahead of Zarco. We drop now down into turn number 9. Marquez still with the advantage from Lorenzo. Turn 10. Rins thought about a move up the inside of Crutchlow again. Onto the start-finish straight we go. Couple of laps completed now. Marquez leads.
Yeah, Marquez, that's the fastest lap of the race, straight down into the high 125, 125. 8.54. He was 3/10 quicker than Lorenzo last time around, a couple of tenths faster than Andrea Dovizioso.
Up the hill we go, and that Ducati power really needs to come into effect here. Dovizioso will be keen to get by Jorge Lorenzo as well. Bit out of shape on the brakes there for Lorenzo.
Well, the hardest charger right now is Alex Rins, although he's bitten off more than he can chew in turn 3. Just going a little bit hot there, Alex Rins, desperately trying to hang on to Cal Crutchlow, and with the drive of that GP18 Pramo Ducati with Danilo Petrucci, Alex Rins hasn't got a prayer of retaliating, so Petrucci takes 5th.
Bit of a front-end wobble from Marc Marquez, but it settles nicely. He remains in charge from the 2 Ducatis, Lorenzo, Dovizioso. Cal Crutchlow there in 4th, trying to hang on in there. Good move there from Aleix Espargaro on the factory Aprilia on Johann Zarco into turn 5.
Strongest we've seen Aleix Espargaro in the factory Aprilia for quite some time. Only 4-point scoring finishes this season for the Spanish rider, but he's holding firm in that top 10. Drop down into turn 9 for the 3rd time of asking. It's Marquez from Lorenzo and Andrea Dovizioso. The top 3 men in Renault, the top 3 men on the grid for the 2nd year in succession here at the Red Bull Ring. Cal Crutchlow in 4th, then the fast-starting Alex Rins in 6th, just behind Danilo Petrucci after Rins made that error at turn 3.
Fastest lap of the race again, Marc Marquez, 25.098, but it was only a thousandth of a second quicker than Lorenzo. We're joined now, the world champion, onto the back straight. Dovizioso not quite got himself up to temperature just yet.
Yeah, Andrea Dovizioso was half a second off of Marc Marquez on that last lap around.
Further back there is Rabat from Aleix Espargaro, Zarco, Valentino Rossi's now up into 10th. He's got past Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, Maverick Vinales, Rossi's going forwards. Unfortunately, his teammate's going backwards. He's been taken for 16th place by Álvaro Bautista, so the misery continues for Maverick.
There's Cal Crutchlow. We're right on board now with the Brit in 4th. Best of the rest at the moment, ahead of Danilo Petrucci and Alex Rins. Coming into Sector 3, this is where Marc Marquez is so dominant. Left-handers are his favourite.
See, Crutchlow and Petrucci 7 days ago. This is at turn 3. That was Rins just running out wide. It was getting a bit chaotic and a bit scrappy further down the field. That looks like somebody actually tagged Valentino Rossi. This was on the very first lap.
Yeah, that's where Lorenzo went back through. Bradley Smith lost a lot of place, quite a few places in that particular move as well.
And it got a bit close between Bautista, Rossi and Pedrosa on that first lap at turn number 3.
Struggling in the early stages to keep up with Marc Marquez's pace at 24.3 there from the Repsol Honda rider.
Well, rather ominously, Steve, Marc Marquez has got the hard rear tyre on, so at this stage of the race, this is where the Ducatis really need to be jumping all over him, because if he's got the hard rear tyre, which we know he has, the theory will be at the end of the race he's going to have the advantage in terms of durability and endurance on that rear tyre, so there's a bit more work to do perhaps than what Dovizioso and Lorenzo are anticipating, and certainly at this stage of the race, because Marc Marquez has really got the bit between his teeth. 1:24.379, that's faster, much faster than the predicted race pace of yesterday.
Front 3 just edging a bit there away from Cal Crutchlow. Valentino Rossi now chasing down Johann Zarco for 9th place, but Marc Marquez then, his tactics are get out front and push.
Well, yeah, ask questions, see what the Ducatis have got, stretch them. Can he, once he's established that lead, just manage the gap with the hard rear tyre? We know that Lorenzo is well capable of making the soft front, soft rear tyre last for the race. He's done it in Mugello and Barcelona this year, but Marc Marquez absolutely in the box seat, just where he wanted to be. He can stage manage the lead now at the front and just test the Ducati, see what they've got.
To the home straight we go once more. It'll be another 24 for Marc Marquez. It's another 24.3 from Marc Marquez. That was the fastest laps from both Ducati riders, but they're a tenth slower than Marquez on that particular occasion, and Crutchlow at 25.2. So the top 3 already now starting to pull out a gap.
He's just not scared or frightened or put off, is he, Marc Marquez, to take a little bit of a risk. We know he was fast on that hard rear tyre in this morning's warm session. He's hotter again this afternoon, so he knows it's going to work in hotter conditions, but he's the only rider, again, sticking to the courage of his convictions, the only man out there that went for that hard option rear tyre. He really does back himself. Once he's made a decision, he sticks to it. There's no wavering, there's no deviating. That was his tyre choice. So after the warm session, he's going to go for it, and he's making it work brilliantly right now.
That's what half a second looks like at the front. That's the lead for Marc Marquez. There's Lorenzo in second place, Dovizioso in third. They go into turn 6, sit the bike up again, and then into turn 7. Marquez takes chunks out of the Ducatis here.
Well, it's what we thought, Steve, already. After what, just 5.5 laps, we've got Marquez Lorenzo versus Dovizioso. Everybody else cannot run the pace of the top 3, just what we suspected. Cal Crutchlow's in 4th place, but he's 1.6 seconds behind Andrea Dovizioso, with his hands full of Danilo Petrucci, Alex Rins, Tito Rabat, Aleix Espargaro, Johan Zarco and Valentino Rossi as well. But the top 3, I thought the rest might hang in for a little bit longer, but the top 3 have already checked out.
Another 24.3. It's 3 on the trot now for Marc Marquez, and he's stretching the Ducatis in the early stages of this one. This is the battle for 4th then. Cal Crutchlow, Danilo Petrucci, Alex Rins, as we suspected.
Yeah, Crutchlow, Petrucci and Rins have all been able to put clear daylight between themselves and this man Tito Rabat, who's still doing a great job in 7th place. Aleix Espargaro now coming under real pressure from Valentino Rossi. Rossi's upwardly mobile in this race. He's taken Johan Zarco. Zarco's suffering a little bit at this stage of the Grand Prix. Valentino Rossi, will he have a lunge up the inside of Aleix Espargaro on this downhill break? He's only to turn 4, not quite close enough.
Another 10th gained from Marc Marquez through sector 2. He's almost 3/4 of a second up here.
And Vinales' watch, I'm afraid, it's not a pretty watch at all. He's still circulating in 16th place at the moment, Maverick Vinales. He's 1.3 seconds off the pace currently being set by your race leader, Marc Marquez.
If Marc Marquez can maintain this pace, it would be astonishing. So perfect in the early stages. He is really, really stretching the Ducatis here. You can just see 1/2 a tenth in each sector. And at the moment, they can't touch him. They cannot reach him.
I've never seen Marc Marquez want to win a race so badly and so desperate as this one. As we said pre-race, it's almost like it's become an obsession. He's just fired in another fastest lap of the race, a 1:24.320. It's like he's harbouring some kind of personal vendetta against Ducati and this circuit, as Rossi does find a way through on Aleix Espargaro. So Valentino Rossi now moves up into 8th place. It's been a really good salvage job so far by Rossi, although Aleix Espargaro tries to fight back. Rossi just managed to get the power down. We haven't been able to say that too often about the Yamaha this weekend. He got the power down well to hold off the Aprilia, although to be fair, the Aprilia is not exactly the fastest motorcycle out there, and Rossi makes a mistake going into turn 3 on the brakes, and he surrenders that place immediately back to the Spaniard.
This is the battle for 4th. Crutchlow at the moment ahead of Petrucci and Rins. Then it's a bit of a gap to Rabat, and that is the battle between Aleix Espargaro and Valentino Rossi. At the front, it's now almost a second that Marc Marquez has opened up on Jorge Lorenzo. This is impressive stuff from the world champion.
And we're in sector 3, where Marc Marquez has basically destroyed the field. He loves turn 6 and 7, the only true 2 left-hand corners on this circuit. Marc Marquez, he adores left-hand corners, his dirt bike training background. He'd just love to go left, left, left all the time, Marc Marquez, a little bit like my golf game, but yeah, he's really, really stretching the field out here.
Dovizioso just in 3rd there. We're riding with Jorge Lorenzo. We'll be desperate now to get past Jorge Lorenzo. He can see what's happening up ahead, but Jorge Lorenzo is not going to be an easy rider to get past. It's a fast lap that from Dovizioso. He needs to find a way past his teammate here. Into turn 1 we go, on board now with Dovizioso. Not quite able to get Lorenzo in sight to pounce.
It's a hot pace, hotter than it was at the start of the Czech Republic Grand Prix last weekend, when it was, as we said, a game of cat and mouse really for the first 15 or 16 laps, when these 3 really got the hammer down. They've got to run a hotter pace than perhaps we predicted. Well, Andrea Dovizioso's fastest lap so far, a full 1/2 a second inside of what we thought the average predicted race pace would be. But has he already given Marc Marquez that key advantage? You can see Marc Marquez there, just coming through turn 5. Now this is where Marc Marquez clearly has the upper hand on the Ducatis. Andrea Dovizioso so eager to try and bridge the gap, the advantage that Marquez had in these 2 left-handers. He deliberately followed him in practice and tried to alter his lines to try and mimic the exact style of Marc Marquez in this section, as Dovizioso now really starts to hound and harry and hunt down Jorge Lorenzo. Got to find a way through really, really quickly. Dovizioso can see Marquez really, really putting clear daylight now between him and Jorge Lorenzo. He's got to get through pretty rapidly as Dovizioso
He's getting into the slipstream now. Can he pull the pin and can he get past into turn 1? No, he's not close enough. Defensive line from Lorenzo. He's got to get good drive now out of turn 1 to try and get onto the tail of Lorenzo.
This has got a little bit of familiar feel. Jerez, the Spanish Grand Prix. Remember, Marquez got in the lead. Dovizioso was desperate to try and get through, and his teammate Jorge Lorenzo couldn't find a way through. It just let Marquez pull away into a real comfortable lead, and we know how that all ended. In tears with Pedrosa, Dovizioso, Marquez out of it. Dovizioso gone through?
I think he might have done it. Looked like they were both quite slow through there. Can't see. I don't know what we were looking at there, but we can't see at the moment this battle for second. We're looking at the helicopter view. No, it didn't happen. Lorenzo's still there in second place for now as they go into turn number 4, but Dovizioso will start to get a bit desperate soon. Can he get some key drive coming out of turn 8 to maybe have a go at Jorge Lorenzo at turn 9, because this is the area of the circuit where Lorenzo's weakest.
Andrea Iannone in way too hot at turn number 3, so that's dropping Andrea Iannone out of the point scoring places. In fact, it's dropped him back to 17th place.
So this is Dovizioso and Lorenzo. They've just pulled a 10th back on Marc Marquez on this last lap. We'll get the times through. I rather fancy the Ducatis might be just half a tenth quicker than Marc Marquez when they come across the line this time.
Well, Lorenzo rather knew that if he probably attacked or tried to go with Marquez at this stage of the race, what it would do is it would burn up his softer tyres quicker. Maybe he's just tried to get into a steady rhythm without letting Marquez get too far ahead, just to try and protect and preserve that soft front, soft rear tyre.
Well, the thing is, Matt, 2 years ago, Andrea Iannone and Dovizioso at that time on the Ducatis had a very slow pace. Then they pulled the pin.
Well, Andrea
Marquez is trying to force them into setting a hotter, fast pace.
Well, and he knows he can do because he's got that hard rear tyre on as well. As we said, the theory should be there's never really a massive gulf in performance between Michelin's hard, medium and soft compounds. But you've got to feel that Marc Marquez will have the slight advantage in those crucial last 5 or 6 laps, and we know it's in that final third of the race this year, certainly in the Saxon Ring, in Assen as well, where Marc Marquez has got the hammer down. He's been able to run fast and consistent pace, which has blown the rest away, and he's threatening to do the same here in Austria right now.
This is the top 3. The gap has opened up again, 0.8 of a second now between Marc Marquez and Jorge Lorenzo here in second place.
Stayed around that gap, hasn't it, probably for the last 4 or 5 laps now. Lorenzo just cannot make any inroads into Marc Marquez's advantage. Over the line they come out again is 7/10. It's been hovering around that point at the exact same gap for a good 5 or 6 laps now. The lap times are identical. Marc Marquez a 1:24.593. Slightly faster on that last circuit was Lorenzo, a 1:24.561, with Dovizioso about a tenth behind. There is just nothing to split them, but Marquez has got that crucial gap of 7/10.
Again, the 2 Ducatis look like they might have been side by side there into turn number 3. Marc Marquez then dropping down the hill. Dovizioso still in third, trying to find a way past Jorge Lorenzo.
The problem for Andrea Dovizioso is that these are identical motorcycles. Xavier Simeon's crashed out. It's a shame because he qualified very well yesterday. So Dovizioso is going to find it hard to blitz past a motorcycle that's the exact same spec with the exact same horsepower as what he's got. And Lorenzo's riding style, he can't carry the corner speed he used to on the Yamaha. We saw a few times in Jerez and Le Mans, Lorenzo was basically parking that bike in the middle of the corner, and Dovizioso can't find his way through.
This is a key area though, because Lorenzo's not so quick in sector 3. So can Dovizioso squeeze underneath him into turn 9? No, not again. Bike in the way. Drop down the hill to turn 9, turn 10. If he can get on his tail here, will he have a chance? We'll ride with him then. Onto the start-finish straight. A good bit of drive there from Dovizioso. He's in the slipstream now. Jorge Lorenzo, can he find a way past? Into turn 1? No. Round turn 1 we go. Now he's got to get into the slipstream once again. That's a bit better from Dovizioso as they now climb up the hill. Can Dovizioso get close enough?
You see, the great drive that Andrea Dovizioso gets out of turn 3 is matched by his teammate Jorge Lorenzo because he's on the same machinery. The Ducati's grunt and acceleration is unrivaled. It's second to none. but they're racing each other. They're just letting Marc Marquez at the moment have a bit of a free rein of it. He's just untouched, unflustered, just able to run his own consistent pace, run his own lines, run his own braking markers. Nobody's interfering in with Marc Marquez, and he'll know on his pit board that he's just managing that gap. In fact, last time around he took 2 tenths out of the Ducatis. His advantage for the first time is almost a full second.
The question is, Matt, how much quicker can Dovizioso go? Because at the moment he's almost running into the back of Lorenzo mid-corner.
If Andrea Dovizioso could make the pass save, he'd have done it by now. He's been sat there pretty much for the entirety of the race. He just can't find his way through.
Here we go. Is he going to have a look? No, he's not close enough. It just, yeah, like you say, it has sort of similar smell to it than Jerez. It reminds me a bit of Valencia at the end of last year as well, where Dovizioso was behind Jorge Lorenzo and just cannot find a way through cleanly. They have just taken a 10th out of Marc Marquez, but...
Well, everybody says Andrea Dovizioso, his reputation is for being the last of the late breakers in MotoGP, but let's be fair, Jorge Lorenzo's no mug on the brakes as well, is he? He's got that beautiful, silky, smooth braking technique as Lorenzo, so Andrea Dovizioso's going to have to work really hard to find his way through his teammate.
Gap's come down again, Matt. It's half a second now. It's half a second. Will Dovizioso be happy to sit there for a bit and just watch Jorge Lorenzo try and challenge Marc Marquez? Can they get close enough? This is the battle for 14th, by the way. Bradley Smith, he got caught up in some drama early on, and that pushed him down outside the top 10. He's lost another place there as well. So Maverick Vinales now moves up into 14th place.
He's mixing it with the factory Yamaha. He's got a factory Suzuki behind him. Encouraging signs for the factory KTM team. He's 13 seconds behind the race leader right now. Valentino Rossi's hit a bit of a wall. He got up to 8th place, but he can't make any significant progress on Tito Rabat in 7th. Although he was a little bit quicker last time around, a couple of tenths quicker Rossi was than Rabat, as he tries to claw back a 7th place, which doesn't really cut the mustard in terms of where Rossi's aspirations are. It's going to be a massive, massive blow for his championship if he gets up to what, a maximum of 7th place. If Marquez does win, well, Marquez is going to be an overwhelming favourite to successfully defend his MotoGP title.
Lost another 10th on that lap, did Marc Marquez. We're at the halfway point of the race. So far, it is advantage world champion. Marc Marquez, the tactics are working so far. We enter the crucial stage now, this second half of the race. Who's got what? They are looking closer. They are looking a lot closer to Marc Marquez. Andrea Dovizioso is so desperate to find a way past Jorge Lorenzo and can't do it. Will it happen into turn number 4? No. 4 tenths of a second in it last time around. Here we go, turn 4.
Well, it's the closest it's been. That gap between Marquez and Lorenzo for a handful of laps now. Into sector 3, where Marc Marquez just excels. He's been in a league of his own here throughout this weekend. This has been Marquez's strongest section of the course and Lorenzo's weakest. On Friday in FP1, Lorenzo was dog slow in this 3rd sector. In fact, he was almost half a second slower than the fastest time, only 11th quickest in this 3rd sector. I think he said Steve was going to deliberately watch videos and replays of the action last night to see if he could pick up any tips from Marquez and Dovizioso, just to find a bit of rhythm in that 3rd split.
Completely different tyres, we remind you that all 3 of these riders are running, which is fascinating in itself. We're on board now with Dovizioso. He's gone for medium-medium. Lorenzo up ahead on soft-soft. Marc Marquez on a medium front and a hard rear tyre. Could that be the crucial decision in the closing stages?
The pace has just settled by a whisker. It's got down to 1:24.7 for Marc Marquez, which is exactly bang on what we thought was going to be predicted race pace. Slightly faster with Lorenzo and Dovizioso, although it doesn't look visually really, does it, from our helicopter shot?
They exit turn number 3. You can see visually the improvements in acceleration from Honda in 2018, now riding with Marc Marquez, race leader.
You're only just over half race distance. It's easy to forget there's a long, long way to go in this battle of the Red Bull Ring. Got to say, Marc Marquez has been immaculate so far. He does not look like he's going to cave into pressure at all.
Sector 2, Marquez is able just to eke out a little bit of an advantage around the left hand as we go once more.
You'd not have been able to have said that in the past, Steve. As you say, it just shows how good the Honda's working on corner exit, coming out of that 1st gear turn number 3 last year. Marquez, he would have felt like he was taking a chopstick to a gunfight. This year, he's got the weapons and the tools to take it to the Ducatis.
Rather interestingly, the Ducatis are actually closing in on on Marc Marquez in that third sector. That wasn't happening earlier in the weekend.
Yeah, maybe with the soft and medium rear tyres for Lorenzo Dovizioso, they might just have slightly better edge grip in that infield section.
On board now with Andrea Dovizioso in third place. Onto the power he goes. He's waiting for any mistake from his teammate so that he can try and chase down Marc Marquez, but it's not coming at the moment. None of these three riders have actually put a foot wrong so far. Dovizioso got himself involved in a little bit of a scuffle with Alex Rins on the opening lap, and it has cost him.
Yeah, back to fourth place. Cal Crutchlow's got a, well, say, relatively comfortable second advantage over Petrucci. He, in turn, is almost 7/10 clear of Alex Rins. They're the top six. Tito Rabat is coming under real pressure from Valentino Rossi. Rossi took half a second out of Rabat on the last lap in the battle for seventh place, so Tito Rabat might be yielding to the 9 times world champion pretty soon.
Now, this is the closest that the Ducatis have been through sector 2. And they've been gaining on Marquez in sector 3 the last couple of laps, so how close can they get now? Around turn 8, through the trees we go. Will it go down to 3/10 here?
Well, it's like Brno, Steve, isn't it? It's going to be a case of who's got what left in the rear tyre for those last 4 or 5 laps. When these guys had to drop the hammer and up the pace in Brno last weekend, they were untouchable. They were in a race of their own. Who's doing the time management job the best at the moment?
Fastest lap of the race from Jorge Lorenzo at 24.3. He was 0.3 of a second quicker than Marc Marquez, and now you can see the Bologna bullets are coming. Are they starting to warm up into things? Marc Marquez has tried his original tactics. They've worked so far. There are 11 laps remaining. Braking hard now. Lorenzo's going to have to go wide there, avoiding action to not run into the back of Marquez. And here is the chance now for Andrea Dovizioso. Can he find a way past Lorenzo? No.
It just shows how much engine performance the Ducati has, though. Lorenzo can make a big mistake in the braking zone, run wide middle of the corner, but he still had the torque and the power, the grunt coming out the corner to hold off Andrea Dovizioso, who got turn 3 absolutely bang on the money. Just shows with these powerful engines, the powerful motors of the Honda and the Ducati, you can have that little slip up on the braking zone, but you don't really lose too much on corner exit because their engine performance is so good.
3/10 in it then between Marquez, Lorenzo, Dovizioso. The chess match continues here in Austria. Here is Marc Marquez down the hill into turn 9, and they're now right on his tail. Bit of front-end movement there from Marc Marquez. Into turn 10 we go. There will be 10 laps remaining in a moment. When will the Ducati power come into effect? And Jorge Lorenzo is going to have a charge here. Across the line we go. Jorge Lorenzo at 24.6. They were quicker again than Marc Marquez, and here he comes now up the inside. Jorge Lorenzo really hold on to it. Dovizioso almost runs into the pair of them.
That was really tight. Andrea Dovizioso, he must have missed Marc Marquez's rear tyre by a millimetre. That was really, really tight. You know what Marc Marquez is going to try and do? He's going to try and fire it straight back up the inside of Lorenzo. If you pass Marc Marquez, you better make it stick. That was close.
They almost touched.
Close. That was Lorenzo's right knee there. Lorenzo's right butt cheek. It got a bit of a black mark there from Marquez's front tyre. That was really, really tight.
Jorge Lorenzo then can't hold on to the lead for long. Marquez fights back immediately. In fact, that little scuffle there has just allowed Dovizioso to close in after what happened in turn 1 a moment ago. The race is really on now here in Austria.
That was really, really tight. So close between Marquez and Dovizioso at turn 1. It was pretty tight. A bit too close for comfort between Marquez and Lorenzo up at turn number 3.
I've got to say, the studying paid off for Jorge Lorenzo through sector 3. Whatever he studied last night, it's working.
Marc Marquez, Steve, he knew he had to get back on Lorenzo really quick because the Ducati, with his top speed as Lorenzo over the crest into turn number 9, finds his way back through. So Jorge Lorenzo trying to make it a hat-trick of wins. 3 different winners for Ducati here at the Red Bull Ring. That mistake by Andrea Dovizioso at the first corner last time around has cost him a good 11-10 bike lengths, Andrea Dovizioso. In fact, he lost 7/10 of a second compared to Lorenzo. That was a crucial mistake by Dovi.
Question is, can the tyres hold out here for Jorge Lorenzo? 9 laps remaining. Dovizioso is 7/10 of a second away after that mistake earlier on. Now then, braking hard into turn 3. This time Lorenzo holds on to the lead for a couple more corners. Out of turn 3 we go. The acceleration of the Honda, supreme.
Well, his riding style is as smooth as silk, as smooth as glass, isn't it? If anybody can keep those soft tyres holding up to the end of the race. It will be Jorge Lorenzo. Marc Marquez, he didn't want to get behind that Ducati. He knows it's going to be so hard to overtake it with the Ducati's braking stability and their punch out of the corners. That's why Marc Marquez found it so hard to race the Ducatis last weekend in Brno. And when, as we said it before this weekend, when you're as aggressive as Marc Marquez, if he says it's hard to race, fight and overtake the Ducatis, then boy, you better believe it, because we're talking about one of the most uncompromising riders in the history of racing.
You could be about to see the fastest lap of the race here coming from Jorge Lorenzo. He's flying. Dovizioso's regrouping as well. He's closing in on the tail here of Marc Marquez. There's still quite a bit of race left here, though. Around turn 10 we go, onto the home straight, and watch for the lap times here of both Ducatis. Across the line for Jorge Lorenzo, 24.7. Okay, well, the pace has slowed up, but Marquez at 24.9. He's 2/10 slower than both.
Yeah, Danilo Petrucci's got to be careful in 5th place. He's the first rider in this MotoGP race to get the track limits warning message. That means he's been repeatedly exceeding the track limit. Any more of that, and he'll have to drop a place behind Alex Rins from 5th to 6th.
Jorge Lorenzo, throughout this entire weekend, has been consistently 2 or 3 tenths off Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso. He's found something here.
He does like this Red Bull ring, doesn't he, Jorge Lorenzo? Let's not forget, back in 2016, he was the only non-Ducati on the podium. Traditionally a bogey circuit for Yamaha, and Jorge Lorenzo found a way to make it work around this Red Bull ring a couple of years ago. Valentino Rossi has taken 7th place from Tito Rabat. Here's the track limits warning message going to the dashboard of Danilo Petrucci. Ease to run wide, of course, at turn 10. Turn 1 in particular as well, and race direction will be keeping their beady eagle eyes on Danilo Petrucci now, because any more of it, he'll have to surrender 5th place to Alex Rins.
So we drop down the hill again, turn 9. Lorenzo leads. There'll be 7 laps to go when he crosses the line. He's got 1/4 of a second over Marc Marquez. This would be his 3rd victory of the season. It would be the 3rd different Ducati rider to win in Austria as well since we returned here.
Well, Brno last weekend was Jorge Lorenzo's 113th Premier Class podium. Only one man in the history of World Championship racing in the Premier Class has got more than that, and that's a certain Valentino Rossi.
On that last lap, Matt, Dovizioso struggled to live with the pace of Lorenzo and Marquez. He lost another 3 tenths there to the pair of them. That moment at turn 3 cost Dovizioso so dearly.
He is suffering at the moment, Andrea Dovizioso, just to live with the pace of Lorenzo and Marquez ahead of him. Simon?
Guys, I'm in the Ducati garage with Davide Tardozzi. Davide, early on in the race, Jorge looked like he was holding up Dovi, and then basically with 10 laps to go, like his body language changed, his drive off the turn was stronger. Has he been waiting till then, or do you think this is what's happening? He's pushing at the end?
Yeah, I think that finally understood that pushing from the beginning was not the best strategy, and he waited a bit to save the tire and fuel.
Good luck from here.
Well, it's a different tactic. It worked rather well in Brno last week, but he just missed out.
You see, he knew he could save the tyre, Steve, and save fuel, because he was probably going to be relaxed knowing that Marquez wasn't gapping him any more than a second.
Yeah,
the moment that Lorenzo saw it get to 9 tenths or a second, he thought, right, Mark's going to go here, I'm going to get my pace lifted. It was almost like he was going, if it gets to around a second, I'm going, and that's exactly what he did.
This one ain't over. It is not over by a long stretch. These 2 men will be teammates next year on Repsol Honda machines. What an exciting prospect that is. Here's Cal Crutchlow. He's doing a sterling job, actually, Cal. 4th place, considering he's been 15th the last 2 years, and he's not a big fan of the circuit. Cal Crutchlow, that would be a really good result.
Yeah, it'll be his 7th top 6 finish of the season, Cal Crutchlow, and again, he's well on course to be the top independent team rider. He's well clear of Danilo Petrucci by almost 2 seconds now.
Further back, by the way, Valentino Rossi's picked off Pedrosa, and he is actually closing in on Alex Rins.
Valentino Rossi right now, Steve, there are only 3 men on the circuit quicker than him, and we know who they are. Jorge Lorenzo, Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso. So as always, the old magician conjuring up something, well, not special, because nothing can be special about a 14th place on the grid and a 7th place in the race, but to salvage a top 6, I think that's the best that Valentino Rossi could hope for, and he will have the badge of honour, at least of being top Yamaha on probably one of the worst weekends in recent memory for the Iwata factory.
Dovizioso's out to this one. He's losing lots of time. I don't think there's much life left in the Desmo Dovi here. It's a big surprise. Lorenzo, whatever he found overnight, he's there. It's not over though. Marc Marquez still wants this. He's still close enough to challenge.
Yeah, that mistake where he nearly tagged Marquez, Steve, it cost him that time, and ever since then he just hasn't been able to claw his way back into it. Dovizioso is going to, at this phase of the race, be coming home for a very disappointing and very lowly third place. He would have expected to have been right here with Jorge Lorenzo and Marc Marquez, but it's looking like now a straight showdown between the two great Spanish rivals.
Into turn 4, completely different riding styles, completely different motorcycles underneath them. Both of them multi-world champions.
Marc Marquez tasted last gas defeat to a Ducati right here at the Red Bull Ring 12 months ago. He is determined, almost obsessed, like we said, to make sure history does not repeat itself. He wants to exact revenge on the Bologna factory. In terms of the championship, well, he's just coasting away from Valentino Rossi in second place. It's now for Marc Marquez, how much risk is he willing to take? He's got at the back of his mind the chance to really, really extend his championship advantage. Andrea Dovizioso said yesterday, Marc Marquez will not be able to resist. He'll get sucked into this battle. He said he's like a shark that smells blood.
Well, there's absolutely no thinking of the championship at this moment for the number 93. Lorenzo then leads just from Marc Marquez. It's a close one. Dovizioso's now 2 seconds adrift in third.
That Honda engine is a much better power unit than it was last year. But look at Lorenzo coming out of turn 1 and down through that fast kink at turn 2. He takes 7 or 8 bike lengths out of Marc Marquez. He gets good drive grip coming out, but the motor, the power. Marc Marquez said yesterday he's pretty much in awe of that Ducati engine. When it hits 4th, 5th and 6th gear, he said it's like something special happens underneath that fairing. The Bologna engineers, they've definitely worked their magic on that desmodromic valve engine, because it's just an absolute weapon. It's a rocket ship.
You see a replay here of Marc Marquez. The thing is now for Marc, Matt, he knows from last year that there is a move available into turn 9 and 10 if he can get close enough. He also knows that he's got to make it stick. It's got to be a block pass. Is he gonna? I think that might be his only chance, you know. He will have to just be on the tail of Lorenzo through these 2 corners, and you know he'll go for it.
Just shows, doesn't it, Steve, as well. Jorge Lorenzo's 31 years of age. He's a 5-time world champion, 3 times in MotoGP. He's won 67 Grand Prix, 46 in MotoGP, yet he's still at that age and at that experience, that class, learning. You know, Ducati have had to drill into him in Brno and here in Austria. If you want to do the normal Jorge Lorenzo tactics and bolt away the race, you won't do it, because you'll burn your tyres up too quickly and you'll vanish without a trace. Even at 31, and with all of his experience and class and quality, adapting and changing like the old Camino.
He's wide, Matt, at turn number 3, and that's allowed Marc Marquez through. 3 laps to go here. Jorge Lorenzo has allowed Marc Marquez through then. Maybe a mistake from the number 99.
Yeah, a mistake on the brakes then going into turn number 3. Easy to do when you look at your pit board constantly and all you see is +0, 93. You know Marc Marquez is right there. But that's a self-inflicted wound. An unforced error from Jorge Lorenzo.
Marquez is going to see this as his opportunity to try and break away. This would give him a better chance of winning if he's out ahead of Lorenzo. He's 3/10 up through sector 2. They come around turn number 8. Lorenzo eager to try and get himself back into the picture again. He's trying to use the power of that Ducati. Can he get him in turn 9? Yes, he can. He sits Marquez up. Marquez, will he have to run straight on? Somehow Marquez holds onto it. He has a bit of a wiggle as well. Marquez still in the hunt. Proper fighting this between the 2 men that will team up alongside each other next year.
Here we are at the Red Bull Ring, and Marc Marquez there. It was like he was riding a rodeo bull. That was aggressive by Lorenzo. The drive that Lorenzo, the grip he got mid-corner coming through turn number 8. Brilliant retaliatory move on Marc Marquez there.
Marc Marquez won't like that. Here comes the retaliation. He's taken a punch there to the chin, and Marquez is now going to come back with one of his own into turn 13. Here comes the block pass, and Lorenzo knew it was coming as well, and they both almost come to a standstill. Now it's down to the acceleration, which the Honda is working well at. Clever stuff there from Marquez.
Just left Lorenzo with nowhere to go. Lorenzo knew if he tipped in, it was going to be contact. He was potentially, because he was on the outside, going to be hitting the deck.
God, the front end only just settled before Marc Marquez lumped it into turn 4 there. Lorenzo now is going to try and charge around turn 5. Into turn 6, surely not.
I think we know which way Marc Marquez's risk and reward ratio swung. It swung definitely in favour of the risk side.
No, championship, not even thinking about it. He's got a buffer. If it goes wrong, he'll still be championship leader. He wants victory here. Here comes Lorenzo. Can he get close enough this time to have a nibble into turn 9? I don't think he's quick enough this time.
You see Marc Marquez there. He ran a much tighter defensive line. He knew last time around how quick Lorenzo was coming out of turn number 8 and over the crest. Marc Marquez ran that tighter line that certainly that time around he wasn't going to let Lorenzo have it all his own way. The last 2 years here, as Marc, they almost touched on the straight. Did they have contact? Did their knees rub on the run up to the first corner? The last couple of years here, it's been Ducati land. Will it be Lorenzo's land?
It's Ducati versus Honda. It's world champion versus former world champion. It's Spain versus Spain. It's Ducati versus Honda. And there's no room at turn 3, is there? Yes, there is. Here comes Marquez again, another block pass. And they both come to a standstill again. Lorenzo, though, clever. Around the outside, picks it up and whacks open the power of that Ducati.
He knew it was coming. He knew it was coming. He just waited and waited and waited for it. And then thought, OK, oh, wait, I'm going to see you up the inside. And I'm just going to get the power down. I'm going to try and blitz away from you. This is like the Red Bull Ring 2017 all over again. Ducati versus Honda. This time around, though, it's Jorge Lorenzo and not Andrea Dovizioso taking on Marc Marquez. Jorge Lorenzo's got, what, 7 or 8 bike lengths through this third sector. This is where Marquez is strong. This is where Lorenzo's been weak. But Lorenzo standing firm, and Jorge Lorenzo, he looks like he's going to protect Ducati's 100% winning record here in Austria. Marc Marquez, we know, is capable of delivering late fireworks. Is he too far back at turn 9?
This is going to be so close. We don't go down the hill. Turn 9 it won't be. He doesn't look like he's close enough unless he pulls off something special into turn 10. Around turn 10 we go. And the checkered flag awaits. Marquez is coming with the acceleration. Austria is Lorenzo land here. And Ducati win again. And the Red Bull Ring. A brilliant effort from Marc Marquez and a brilliant fight. Dovizioso takes the final podium. And a strong finish for Cal Crutchlow here as well. Danilo Petrucci will take 5th. The best Yamaha can do is 6th, and from 14th on the grid, I don't think Rossi will be too upset with that. Jorge Lorenzo wins his 3rd race of the season for Ducati. What a well-executed race that was from Gorgeous George.
Wow. Before the Czech Republic race last weekend, people were still saying Jorge Lorenzo can't fight. He proved that was a myth last weekend, and he's just taken it to Marc Marquez on the last lap, and he's beaten Marc Marquez in another epic, classic last lap showdown. There wasn't quite the last corner drama between Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso this year, but it got really, really tight over the line to start the last lap. It got really, really tight at turn number 3. It was another Red Bull Ring classic.
Jorge Lorenzo wins. He moves up to 3rd in the championship, 1 point ahead of Dovizioso. Marquez, in about 3 or 4 minutes, will realise he's extended his championship lead to another 10 points. But what a brilliant, brilliant battle here we've witnessed between 2 of the greats.
Again, another very unlike Jorge Lorenzo performance. His 47th MotoGP victory, and I've got to say, can't think of too many better than he's had to get the better of Marc Marquez. Marquez just couldn't get quite close enough, could he, to lunge like he did on Andrea Dovizioso in turns 9 and 10 last year. Lorenzo just gave himself enough of a buffer. Classic Jorge Lorenzo. And Ducati remain undefeated here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Marc Marquez, well, he threw everything at it. He didn't think about the World Championship and what would happen if he launched it out of 2nd place. He went for broke, as he always does. The cards didn't quite fall his way this time around.
Here's a replay then from the block pass of Marc Marquez, and then he cleverly goes around the outside. He doesn't allow Marc to cut off his line, gets on the power, and then he put together a couple of brilliant sectors.
And crucially, he left him enough room at turn 3. So just like Dovizioso did last year, he knew it was coming. Turn 3 was Marc's favourite overtaking point. There's a very, very happy young Jorge Lorenzo fan there.
After Le Mans this season, Jorge Lorenzo was 14th in the World Championship and 79 points down. Well, since then, he's actually got 10 more points than Marc Marquez.
Brilliant ride, brilliant ride. Marc Marquez, what do they say, second is first lose. You can't say that about him after another valiant effort to win here. He tried everything within his powers, but as we said before, it's so hard on horsepower tracks like Brno and the Red Bull Ring to race the Ducatis. The fact that he's been right on the back of Dovizioso and Lorenzo last weekend in the Czech Republic and right on the back tyre of Jorge Lorenzo here today just shows how much Marc Marquez is pushing that Honda, because it's not easy to race Ducati around this Red Bull Ring at all.
You know, you mentioned something really key earlier, Matt, about the fact that at his age, at 31, he's still learning. It's one thing, the team telling him that he's got to do that. It's another entirely for a 31-year-old who's won 5 championships to actually accept it and do it.
He put so much into that race, so much into that race. He did not want to be the man beaten for the first time on a Ducati here, did he? He didn't want Marc Marquez to take Ducati's proud record.
He was losing 2 or 3 tenths in Sector 3 all weekend. He said yesterday in the press conference, tonight I will study. I will watch Marc, I will watch Andrea, and tomorrow we'll have an answer. And he certainly came up with one.
You can't ask for any more than that from Valentino Rossi. The old warhorse fighting at the Red Bull Ring right to the checkered flag. Break it down, Valentino Rossi finished 14 seconds behind Jorge Lorenzo at the checkered flag, so he was half a second slower than the top 2. But he clawed his way back from 14th place, his worst dry qualifying in 7 years, to get back to 6th place. He wasn't a million miles actually behind Danilo Petrucci. For me, 46 previous wins in MotoGP for this man. That's got to be right up there in the top 3. One of his better ones. In terms of his strategy, his patience at the start. Be careful, you don't know. Yeah, respect between the two. Jorge Lorenzo was taking almost as many risks in Parc Fermés, but he wasn't on the circuit there. He tried to ruffle up Paolo Ciabatti's immaculate hairdo. I think I'd rather race Marc Marquez for 28 laps than try and do that. Lorenzo at his very best. And as you said, Steve, what a prospect. They say you should never wish your life away, but Jorge Lorenzo and Marc Marquez on Repsol Hondas next year. Yes, please.
This man's going to be very disappointed.
Understatement. Yeah, I think he's going to be gutted. It was all going so well until he made that mistake on the brakes. We're going into the first corner, then he lost 7 tenths, and he never truthfully looked like it was going to come back. It looks like he was just rear grip issues for Andrea Dovizioso. Second time in 3 years that he's had a pretty glum face down in Parc Fermé here in Austria. Of course, he so desperately wanted to win here in 2016 when it was Ducati's first win since Casey Stone and Phillip Island in 2010. That day the honour went to Andrea Iannone, and if my memory serves me right, that day Andrea Iannone raced a soft rear tyre to glory, and he pretty much stage managed it just like Jorge Lorenzo did as well. This was a last lap showdown we were all hoping for. These two Spanish boys did not disappoint. Cal Crutchlow then, top independent team rider again.
It's actually really close when you consider sort of beyond Lorenzo and Dovizioso. That battle for 5th place between Viñales, Petrucci, Zarco, Crutchlow is very, very close at the moment.
Yeah, the first time since Barcelona 2015 that Jorge Lorenzo has taken victory from 3rd place on the grid. This man was electric at the start. Stunning launch off the line for Alex Rins. Got himself into the, well, briefly inside the top 3 on the first lap with a few aggressive moves, but he couldn't hold the pace. He dropped back quite dramatically, Alex Rins. Back in the top 10, but 8th place. Not what he would have been expecting, certainly after that fantastic start.
A struggle here for the rookies, as we knew it would be, but a shout out to Nakagami. He wins the rookie battle here today for the first time in a long time. He needed that.
He didn't give it up without a fight, did he, Marc Marquez? Jorge Lorenzo, brave and bold on the inside. That move, Lorenzo could set up on the brakes down the hill into turn 9 because he was so much quicker than Marquez coming through and out of turn 8. The corner speed through 8 that he had and the drive grip when he picked it up onto the fat part of the tyre was just better. A little bit better, not much in it, but just that fraction better than what Marc Marquez had. Well, he was the race winner here 1 year ago. It didn't quite work out today for Andrea Dovizioso. He's on the podium again, though. Let's see what his thoughts are on that Red Bull Ring encounter with Simon Crafer in Parc Ferme.
Andrea, it looked early on like you had the pace and were even getting held up a little, but from 10 laps to go, it looked difficult to stay there.
Yes, unfortunately, I was third and I couldn't ride in the way I wanted, and I finished the tire. We were 3 riders with 3 different tires. And I was trying to overtake Jorge, but it was very difficult for me on the brake. And I used a little bit too much the tire. I don't know, maybe it was a wrong tire, I don't know. Unfortunately, I have to give up too early. I couldn't stay with them. Very disappointed because this we have a good speed and we want to really we want really the victory. But we couldn't, sorry. But anyway, another Ducati won, so for us it's good.
Next time, Dowie.
Yeah, frustrating. You could tell there, you could hear the disappointment in the voice of Andrea Dovizioso. So this was the key moment. Look at that, how tight was that? Millimetres between disaster. And from that moment on, Steve, he couldn't go with Lorenzo Marquez. He just didn't have the rhythm and the pace, and crucially the grip.
The thing is, Matt, he was trying so desperately to get past Lorenzo. He knew he couldn't do it on the brakes, and so he must have been using up so much tyre on acceleration just to try and get in the slipstream to make the move. And obviously that's what's happened. And real frustration you could see on the face there of Andrea Dovizioso. Tactics, unfortunately, this weekend didn't work out, unlike the tactics he put in place last time in Brno. But a fascinating battle here today.
Here comes Marc Marquez then, second place for the second year in a row. He threw everything at the factory Ducatis, but he just came up short again. Let's see what Marc Marquez thinks about a battling second place here in Austria with Simon.
Mark, thank you for the great entertainment. Second position, did you enjoy it?
Of course, this race I enjoyed. I mean, second position, but I give everything. I mean, I start from the beginning and I push hard because I had the rear hard tire to try to open a gap. In one moment I thought that was able, but then they start to catch me because, like I expect, when the tire drop, you know, the difference are on the straight, and on the straight you can see. I was trying to defend my position, but he was able to overtake me on the straight, and yeah, happy because I give everything. I mean, great show, and I enjoyed a lot. I tried, was not possible, but we increased the advantage in the championship, and very happy.
Great race, Mark.
Yeah, great race, and when all's said and done, yeah, he has taken another massive chunk out of Valentino Rossi in terms of that World Championship lead. This was how tight it got. Yeah, they did. You can see there Marc Marquez's right elbow just for a millisecond touching the upper arm of Jorge Lorenzo.
At 292 kilometres an hour.
On the last lap of an epic showdown. Lorenzo actually coming right back in the championship contention, or certainly the contention for second place. He's only 12 points behind Valentino Rossi now in third in the standings. And we're going to hear from the man. The Red Bull Ring for the last 3 years has been very much Ducati land. It's Lorenzo land as well. A stunning performance by this man, Jorge Lorenzo. His third win of the season, his third win for Ducati. And no wonder he's looking pretty happy about it. Smiles and cheers for the cameras, and we can find out what he thinks about his 47th Premier Class win. A few better in his previous career. He's down in Parc Ferme with Simon Crafer.
Jorge, that was absolute class. Early on, it looked like you were not so fast, but 10 laps to go, it looked like you pulled the pin. Please tell us what happened.
Yeah, you know, I didn't expect that Mark so quick at the beginning. He really wanted to push to open the gap, so I needed to push, but at the same time save a little bit the tires and the benzene. And then 10 laps to the end, I decided to attack, but Mark was always there, and I knew he wanted to try. So I was stronger in some areas of the track, especially in the uphill in fifth gear. But he was very strong in the second corner in this braking, so he always overtook me. but in the last lap, he didn't expect myself by the outside in the acceleration, so it was a little bit surprise for him. And then when I overtook him, I pushed at the limit, risking so much on the braking, but I did it and I finished in this unbelievable victory, one of my best victories in MotoGP.
Fantastic race away.
Yeah, who are we to disagree with? He set Marc Marquez up perfectly for that move at turn 3, didn't he? The element of surprise, his exact words.
Well, Matt, the pair of them, you know, they're so clever. There's 11 world championships between these two guys. And today it goes to Jorge, and another day it'll go to Marc. Marc, of course, in the championship. There's Davide Tardozzi.
I think he's pretty pumped about that one, is he, Davide Tardozzi? There was probably, at one stage, I think even our cameras caught it, there was almost a sign in the factory Ducati guys that they were resigned to being beaten today by Marc Marquez. They didn't look like they were happy faces all round. Fast forward 20 minutes or so, and that's what happens when you take a last lap victory in a MotoGP race after a epic showdown with one of the best scrappers we've seen in the business, Marc Marquez.
Yeah, 4 wins for Ducati now in the last 6 races. And in terms of the last 6 races, 4 podiums for this man and 3 wins. He really is back to somewhere near his best, Jorge Lorenzo, at present. And I bet Marc Marquez is mighty relieved that they had a few trip-ups early on in the season, because this would be an awful lot closer right now, where they're not those mistakes and errors made by the pair of them early on in the season. Of course, Lorenzo will say that he never really got what he wanted in the first few rounds of the season, and that ever since then he has picked it up. Dovizioso will be really ruining some things that have happened early on this year, though.
Just what a week it's been in general for the sport we all love. We've had 6 absolutely belting races in this last 7 days, both in Brno and here today at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Sets us up perfectly for the final third of the season. Those trophies have been very hard earned today by the top 3 men on the podium. Ducati crucially gaining big points on Repsol Honda in the team championship as well. It's not all about personal and individual glory in this MotoGP World Championship. There's team honours up for grabs, there's constructor honours up for grabs as well. Well, we said it was one of his best wins in MotoGP, and thankfully he agreed with us. The guy's just being ushered down to start the podium celebrations. He's, I think it's fair to say that Andrea Dovizioso not happy. Just in conversation there, you can see in the mirrored window talking to his teammate Jorge Lorenzo.
He almost looks a bit confused, doesn't he, as to how it's happened.
The Ducati team, well, they'll be celebrating long into tonight their second double podium in the space of 7 days. Not a repeat of its heroics at Brno, not a repeat of its heroics here 1 year ago. The third place for Andrea Dovizioso. Marc Marquez stands in second place on the podium again here in the Red Bull Ring. But he tried everything within his powers to beat this man, but it wasn't to be. Ducati's 100% winning record at the Red Bull Ring in another Spielberg blockbuster continues, courtesy of this man, Jorge Lorenzo. His lead over the line, just over 1/10 of a second. Big sigh of relief there on the podium for Jorge Lorenzo. High-time dignitaries, event sponsors handing over the Constructor Prize to Ducati. It's been a great week for the Bologna brand, back-to-back wins and in Brno. And here in the Czech Republic, Andrea Dovizioso, not the win he wanted, but it's still his 86th podium finish, the 46th of his Premier Class career for the 32-year-old from Forlì. Marc Marquez, one of the toughest and most hard-fought second places he's had of his Grand Prix career, the 25-year-old. It's his 72nd Premier Class podium, the 111th of his Grand Prix career. But to the winner go the spoils, and the king of the Red Bull Ring is Jorge Lorenzo, the 31-year-old, being presented a winner's trophy for the 47th time in MotoGP, the 68th of his illustrious Grand Prix career. The Red Bull ring is Ducati and Lorenzo's land yet again.
The traditional jump off the top step from Jorge Lorenzo. Luckily there was enough room there for him, otherwise he'd have found his way landing on all of his team members. A great day for Ducati in one side anyway. It's been a fantastic 7 days. These three gentlemen have put on a fabulous show for us. Marc Marquez, of course, dominant in the World Championship, a 59-point lead he'll now take into the British Grand Prix. But Jorge Lorenzo really is showing us what he's capable of. A second in Brno and a first here. And celebrations will go on. Marc Marquez looking happy. He's enjoyed that one. And like he said, he left it all out there. There is the jump. Hopefully not injuring himself in the process. A big round of applause then to the top three. And rightly so. Dovizioso just finding it a little harder to swallow than the other two at the moment. He really believed that he had a very, very strong chance, I think as everyone did, that he would be winning the race here.